All right, so here's the setup on today's ride. I was looking for a place to go on the old Inviter Gold member here, a ride that wasn't too far away or wasn't too close either, and I think I found the perfect destination to go to today, and that's Eganville, Ontario. Now, it's gonna be an adventure because we're starting from Braeside and we're gonna ride all the way up to Eganville, Ontario for the Bonashare Cup race that's being held this weekend, and that is about 72 kilometers each way. And I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Joining me on this ride is Steve Duffy from Yamaha, and he'll be on a similar size sled as the old Inviter with a brand new Venom. Both these beauties are prepped and ready to hit the trails of the Ottawa Valley heading up to Eganville. Actually, that's a lie. I have no idea if Gold member is ready or not, but in case you're wondering, there is insurance and a weekend trail pass on this thing, so legally it's ready. Mechanically, I have no clue. Now, we could have easily done this ride on a couple of sidewinders or something like that, but that would have been too easy, and I really wanted to get out on the Inviter. Plus, I thought riding it alongside this massive Venom would be quite fun. So we're going to start our journey from Steve's here in Braeside, and let's find out what happens, because I have no idea what's going to happen. Now, Gold member seems fine. I mean, I rode it for a few kilometers in the fields behind the shop without problems, so it's got to be good, right? Now, of course, out on the trail, you start thinking about things like oil in the chain case, the state of the steering components, the fact that you never greased anything, or even have the sled up on its side to look at the runners of the track. But it's moving, so that means it's got to be good. What's funny is seeing these two sleds side by side. It's almost comical how small the Inviter is, and the Venom absolutely towers over the sled, and it's 7/8 the size of a normal machine. Now, performance-wise, the Venom also destroys the Inviter in every way, except for the feeling of riding a Barker Lounger down the trails. In this one aspect, the Inviter dominates. Thinking about these two sleds and how they were both brought to market to essentially fulfill the same goal of expanding the snowmobile market beyond traditional models makes me see how far the snowmobile industry has come. Each sled is completely different and a product of their times. The Inviter is pretty neat and so far fun to ride on the trails, but the Venom is so much more capable. There really isn't a compromise with that machine at all. With the near 40-year difference in model years, it really does make you think what we'll be riding in another 40 years. I just hope I'll still be able to ride at that time. Actually, I just hope I'll still be able to ride after today. But right now, to make sure I'll still have a sled to keep riding today, I felt a quick inspection was in order. So we pulled off in Renfrew to have a look to see how Gold member was doing. This thing's been running great. I'm slightly concerned about the amount of rubber that's starting to happen behind the window though. So I'm gonna just open this up and see. Belt deflection is about 6 inches. That's fine, right? That's where they're supposed to be on these. Yeah. You know what? I think it's pretty good. There is a rhythmic thumping that's coming out of the track though, so I'm a little worried about that. We might just flip it over, check the track out. But yeah, this is officially the farthest I've ever ridden this, like 30K, and we're doing good. But yeah, it's that. See all that rubber dust? Yeah. All right, here we go. Do that with a sidewinder. Yeah. But, oh, I think I might have found a bearing. It's a little tight. That's just a little tight. Obviously, with the bearing not working, it doesn't need it. So we're gonna pull it right off. All right, so yeah, evidently it did not need that, that bogey on there. So we fixed it by removing it. And I'll put it in the trunk, which is the handiest thing ever.
You know, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this ride with the Inviter and back there Steve's on a Venom is because, I mean, it's sort of a mid-sized sled, but back then, I mean, the Inviter next to the Venom looks massive. I mean, it's unbelievable how big it is. And no wonder, you know, newbie riders, novice riders today are somewhat intimidated by the size and scope of the modern snowmobile because they are so big. And when you see the Inviter, I mean, it was a small machine back in the day too, but it is so small. But that's what made it, I think, easier for people to get into snowmobiling back then, was the machines just were a lot easier to ride and just go out and have fun with. And they weren't capable of speeds that were as crazy as the stuff is now to scare people with. And you know, the Inviter, you know, it sort of did that back in the day. Maybe, yeah, Yamaha missed the mark a little bit, but when you look at the Venom, again, it's mid-size now, big for comparing it to the Inviter, but you know, it does such a great job of, you know, giving a great snowmobile experience to riders that, you know, don't want 200 horsepower, you know, Sidewinder or the big machines. They just want something that's easy to handle, easy to ride, friendly. You know, people who are buying those sleds don't need a sled, don't want a sled that goes that fast. You know, the Venom can be a machine you can hop on, that anybody can hop on, go and have a great time with, and just enjoy themselves out snowmobiling, which I suppose was the original intent of the Inviter. But that got blue belt. This is a low belt. What's coming out of the bush here? That was weird. I thought it was a Yeti coming out of the bush. We got a snowshoer that just popped out of the ditch. I've never seen that before. Fun times. Not regretting this decision at all yet. Got lots of riding left to do to regret, but for right now, the Inviter is absolutely providing a great snowmobile experience. Gold member is the bomb right now. The Inviter is definitely the Paja of the Venom.
Getting all the way up to the race was accomplishment number 1 for Gold member, which I was absolutely stunned by. I did not think it was going to make it, especially after it started misfiring with about 2 kilometers to go. But it did arrive under its own steam. This sled is amazing. I still have to ride home, but I'll worry about that later.
This is the 47th running of the Bonashare Cup, held here in Eganville, Ontario, at one of the last great ice oval tracks left in the province. And it's back now in 2023, the first time in a few years since being cancelled due to COVID.
What a great way to spend a day out on a sled, and I wasn't the only one who rode here to Eganville. For folks who did ride to the event, there was a dedicated area to watch from outside the track going into Turn 1, which is a prime location to check out the action.
The Bonashare Cup has a great grassroots feel to it. There's great access all the way around the track from the spectator area or into the paddock, and you can enjoy all kinds of sights and sounds when it comes to racing.
It was awesome to get out to another race event where there was such a great turnout of both spectators and competitors. Now, the weekend did start off rather chilly with temps deep into the negative 20s on Saturday, but today on Sunday, conditions are much better, which brought the crowds to the race. And to tell us a little bit more about the event, I ran into a familiar face manning the announcer booth. Phil Malta was here, lending his voice to the day.
Eganville, Ontario, home of the Bonashare Cup. Thousands of gallons of water. You know, it's funny, after retiring from media and snowmobile sports, I'm back in it, but I'm here announcing. I'm a volunteer announcer. For years, I got to go to racing events, get involved in racing, come to these great events, and now I'm helping support them. There's so many volunteers, like from our club, the OSOR, who are involved in the racing, all the people in Eganville. It takes so many people to make an event like this happen. So I'm volunteering. I turn 60 soon, so it's my time to give back to the sport like so many people have done. So I'm here announcing, using my annoying voice to tell people what's happening on the track and call the play-by-play. I'm having a great time. My bucket list of snowmobiling is filled up 15 times over. Through working with, snowmobiler television, I got to go to British Columbia, Montana, Colorado. I got to snowmobile up through the interior BC, into Noranda, Quebec, Whitecourt, Alberta, Nunavut. My list is so full, I can't describe people, so I'm smiling all the time. Even yesterday out here at minus 33 degrees, I'm still smiling because It's a great sport in every aspect of snowmobiling, whether it's racing, riding mountains, trail riding, helping build trails. Everything about the sport is awesome, and I'm just glad I could still be a part of it.
First going into turns 1 and 2, and it is tight coming at turn 2 down the back straight here at the Bonachere Cup Speedway in Eganville, Ontario. Eganville, Ontario, home of the 47th Bonachere Cup.
You know, it reminds me of some of the old NASCAR tracks in the South on the Winston Cup years and stuff. You find these places and they're not around. This is still here. We don't have Owen Sound. We don't have Peterborough because the city's expanded. So do the rec facilities. Here, this is the last of the great ovals, and it's big. You get out there and you try racing this track, there is so much room in the corners. It's like Beausejour, wide corners, big straightaways, maximum speed, maximum use of the engine, lots of places to pass. So it's an exciting track. It's a historic track. I mean, the Eganville people here, amazing. There's hundreds of thousands of gallons of water to build this track. And then the week before you start watching that forecast, what happens if it hits +3? What if it hits -30 like it did? What do you do with all these conditions? The track is amazing how it's held up. And to build it and to deal with the conditions, like everything in snowmobiling, you make plans on Tuesday and Friday night. You don't know if a lot of people couldn't even get to the track. We had a lot of people, their trucks wouldn't start, so they try and get a ride with their competitors to get here. We had a power outage too at the real cold, and it was for a large area. So we didn't know if we'd have power for a whole day. So suddenly, you know, good old people in small town Canada, out come the generators and the electrician is like, how do we get through this? Well, okay, we can do this, this, and this, and you work your way back with a game plan. So small town Eganville, you gotta love the way they do stuff.
With such a fun day in the works, there was one more nagging concern in the back of my mind though, actually two. The first was wondering if Goldie would even start after arriving running on half a cylinder, but the next thing was thinking about how rough the trails were going to be after seeing all the sleds here at the race. The adventure definitely was going to continue today.
Not just good, good enough.
And we got her going. So, our adventure continues. Cross some fingers that we're going to get home. I'm not sure what's going to happen. You know, this thing is probably just too stupid to know it shouldn't be running. So we'll just bounce along down the trail. Definitely have to say, oh, these things are rough. Oh my God. Good day though. Let's see. So today we started out this morning. We left around 9:30, 10 o'clock from just outside of Arnprior and Braeside, and then rode 80 kilometers up to the Bonachere Cup in Eganville. Had a good afternoon at Eganville. Weather was way better than yesterday, where it was crispy cold yesterday. It was just nice today. And now we're riding back down to back to Steve's place and homemade lasagna that my mom did up. I mean, if we can get there in one piece, it's going to be an epic day. Definitely an adventure. Honestly, wasn't sure if this thing was going to make it out of the parking lot at the Cup race. I think we got some wiring issues and maybe a bad plug. But I mean, I knew it. I was thinking ahead. You know, riding old stuff, you ride around with plugs in your pocket. So this morning I threw a couple of BR9s in the old hip pocket there, and just for such an emergency. And whoa, that was close to a tree. This thing is all over the place. I just never know where it's going to go. Good thing the trees are right close to the edge of the trail. Oh, here we go. You know, it's at this point, when you're doing this on a old sled, 87, and you got really rough trails, you start to think about stuff. Right now, I'm thinking about my steering. And whoa, whether or not all the nuts and bolts are in good shape, that, you know, it doesn't have 30 some odd years of wear on it and getting thin to get hit by a a big sucker bump. I got 3 behind. You know, you have a big sucker bump behind you, get hit, and next thing you know, the old Inviter takes a hard right into the bush, you know. And with the comfy back seat on this, the backrest, you're just not getting away. You're going with it, it's taking you. It wants you to ride it, it does not let you off. Oh, oh, oh. 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 If this thing survives this pounding, I'm going to be suitably impressed. I think we fixed our electrical problem. I think it was mostly the plug. Gotta go simple sometimes. Oh, look at this one. Oh, that danger. Thanks. Danger's after the friggin' danger. Somebody needs to put the signs ahead of the danger, so you know there's danger there. Oh, oh, that hurt.
So while my back continues to disintegrate, we're gonna head back to Steve's place tonight for dinner. And then tomorrow, after all the over-the-counter drugs kick in, we're gonna finish the show. My God, my back hurts. Oh, are we there yet?
All right, so it's a brand new day. We've had a chance for the ibuprofen to take effect. And
that's for sure.
Steve, it was a pretty good day yesterday.
It was epic. That's the only word to describe it, right? Look, I followed you on that thing yesterday, and we were in some pretty gnarly trails. I was impressed.
This thing, we used all of it yesterday. It's a little...
and some more.
It's a little stiff right now, but anyways, it made it.
It was surprising.
Yeah.
It was very surprising.
And you know, like this thing here, this wasn't necessarily like a mid-size sled like the Venom is, but I can't get over how small it is compared to this machine that you rode.
You know, it's not per se a kid snowmobile like a Scoot or an SRX 120. Not quite a full-size snowmobile, but I rode it yesterday, and
yeah,
it performed...
it's completely capable as a full-size snowmobile.
And, you know, our entry-level customers are customers who don't want a Sidewinder or don't need a Viper. This snowmobile was very capable of that. And
yeah. Exactly. Well, I mean, when this was new in '87, you know, snowmobiles weren't that much bigger than this. But nowadays, snowmobiles are so much more intimidating to have a sled like the Venom to be able to kind of get involved in the industry and build your passion and your skill set as a snowmobiler. I mean, what better class of machine is there than this class?
Well, yeah, the platform is good for that, to getting people back into the sport, or people come back into the sport who have left it a number of years ago when sleds are a little different, sort of like this, with a lower suspension, heavier,
well, this has
smaller
no
fuel tanks.
There is no suspension on this. Let's just stop that argument right there. There is no suspension on this whatsoever.
Okay, this vehicle was meant for groom trail operation.
Yeah, even then debatable. Yeah. But I mean, a sled like this, I think I'm good with this sled now. I'd rather get on that, or maybe a Sidewinder or something, because that's a little bit more my speed. I think I'm going to go back to that.
Yeah, it was a huge amount of fun. Not going to lie, when we left here yesterday morning, I figured if we made it the first 20K with a Telltale, we were either going to leave it on the trail or drag it back here. But after 20K, I was pretty confident it was going to make it there and back, no issues, and we really didn't have any.
No,
So.
and as it was getting later yesterday, I think probably for the last at least 2/3 of the trip, this thing was wide open the whole way. It really didn't get a break, and it still made it, which is amazing. So anyways, it was an awesome day experience yesterday. Great to see all the participation at Eganville yesterday with the folks there on their snowmobiles, and some great racing. We had good temperatures, better than Saturday where they were -100 and something. But yeah, what a great day to be a snowmobiler.
I just want to thank you for coming up with this idea and inviting me along. It was a great time. It brought back, well, following you, it did make me chuckle a few times, but yeah, it was great fun. It was great fun to see the looks on people's faces when we rolled into the Bonisher Cup. Yeah, it was fun.
A couple people didn't believe me that I rode it there.
Well, you did have some fans come up that had seen your, you know, your episode, and you followed through. You said you were going to do something, and you did it, and it was good.
And
it was
real. This thing made it.
Yep.